Once again, good morning, everyone. Today is the fifth and the final week of our series that we've been calling the Harvest Principle. If you've been here any of the last few Sundays, you've heard that the principle is simple. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. You plant a seed and it receives proper rainfall and sunlight, and usually you'll receive a reward of that planting. And everything reproduces itself according to its kind. If you sow good seeds, you can expect good fruit. If you sow bad seeds, expect bad fruit. While it's true that not everything in our life is a result of what we've sown for ourselves, but everything or nearly everything that we sow does yield something for ourselves or for someone else. And throughout this series, we've been talking about two corollary principles that go along with the harvest principle. The first one is you reap what you sow, but it's always later. You don't plant a seed today and tomorrow expect a harvest. The way it works, it takes time. And the second corollary goes like this. You reap what you sow, but it's always greater. The sowing and reaping multiplies over time. The more you plant, the more you reap, for good or for bad, for better or for worse. And several Sundays ago, we applied this principle when it comes to our character. We said that when we're making the right choices and the prudent choices when it comes to character, we can expect blessings in return. And 2 Sundays ago, we applied this principle to our finances. It turns out the wisest use of our money is not to spend it all, but to sow it. We sow seeds with our finances by giving and by saving and by investing. And the first ones are important. Give first, save and invest next, then spend. And last week we looked at the principle when it comes to wisdom. Wise people are people who understand that, yes, there's trouble in life, and that they're going to probably experience some troubles along the way, like everybody else. But wise people sow seeds anticipating that trouble. They position themselves with strong faith. So when trouble comes, they're able to survive and maybe even thrive. And this weekend is Stewardship Sunday here at Epiphany. It's also the Feast of Christ the King. So we're celebrating both all weekend long. And as part of our Stewardship Weekend celebrations, we're celebrating all that we've reaped here at Epiphany in the past year and what we hope to reap in the future. We're also inviting you to make a commitment to sow more seeds, especially when it comes to your finances, to give the work of this church, to help the work of the church in the coming year. And specifically, the commitment that we're inviting you to consider today is, if you've not been giving regularly to Epiphany, to make a change. As I've said recently, we're not bound by the past, so I encourage you to make a faith commitment to give regularly, either weekly or monthly. And if you're already giving regularly, I ask you to recommit to the same amount, or if possible, to increase your giving for the year 2025. Remember, you reap what you sow, later and greater. And as you leave today, we want to give you an envelope with a small form to fill out and bring back to church, letting us know your financial faith commitment. And if you end up here on Sundays or a few Sundays a month, we want you to know that this can be your parish. And we also ask you to accept this invitation to make a faith commitment. We believe that a greater harvest can come, yielding many blessings as we seek to grow our parish, helping all of us to be better disciples. And as we celebrate that Christ is our King, let us remember, you reap what you sow, and it's later and greater. And to help to reach a harvest of life change in the person of Jesus, we remember that he is indeed the King of the universe. And Jesus is asking us to be part of that kingdom by listening to his voice, the voice of truth, and pledging ourselves with him to reveal the love of God to others. Jesus is a king who wants to share the truth of God's infinite love so that all of us are living it and giving it and being saved by it. Jesus' kingdom belongs to people whose hearts have been set on fire by divine love. And so our church exists to build God's kingdom, to love God, to love others, and to make disciples. And we really believe that if people accept Christ as their king into their lives, that their lives will not only be better here on earth, but forever in eternity. And as a church, we want to be growing deeper and wider with this message. We reap what we sow. And I think we're seeing changed lives here at Epiphany Parish. People who did not know God are coming to know him. People who had maybe a superficial relationship with him are growing to know him on a deeper level. And because we're asking that you make a financial faith commitment to God and to our parish, I'd like to share some examples of the way that we're reaping a rich harvest right here at Epiphany. First of all, the number of kids in our faith formation program continues to grow, and we seriously need more teachers and helpers to assist as our numbers increase. So if you're willing to help, please contact Deborah West, our faith formation director. We could use you. And we also have a large group of students preparing for their first confession in a few weeks, and also then their first communion next spring. We have another group of middle school students preparing for confirmation next year. And we're not only changing the lives of kids, but we're having an impact on teenagers as well. And when you hear some of these stories of change, I find them inspiring and amazing. And I really want to share them with you. Some of the comments that our high school students made who were part of a group of 20 who went to the National Catholic Youth Conference a few weeks ago held in California. One student said, "NCYC showed us how beautiful and how full of love our faith is." Another said, "I learned a lot of ways to bring faith into my life through prayer, worship, and other things. I hope to bring this back with me to spread his word and teach others." Another commented, "My favorite part of NCYC was confession because I felt really peaceful and connected to God when it was done. I also really liked adoration because I got to pray along with 3,000 other teenagers that all share my faith, and it was powerful. There are many things from the conference that I took away and will bring into my personal life." And one said, "Going to public school means I'm not around many Catholic students, so connecting with other Catholics my age was very exciting." And one more thanked us all. The person said, "I thank God and the church for allowing us to make the trip out to Long Beach to experience Jesus with my church family." So as a pastor, I too thank you for supporting our youth program, not just for this one conference, but for our year-round youth program under the direction of Sarah Holt. And as we celebrate that Christ is our King, again, let us remember, we reap what we sow, and it's later and greater. And as a church, we're not only having an impact on the next generation, but we're giving our adult members the opportunity to be used by God in powerful and amazing ways. This past week, we began our new adult Advent series called Rejoice. And I was so happy to see how many people showed up to participate. And we just concluded our adult study series called Metanoia. And I'd like to share a few comments from those who participated. One adult said, "The videos were engaging, and participants were willing to share the impact the Lord has made on our lives." Another said, "Listening to others' spiritual experience makes me realize we are all loved beyond measure by a gracious, loving God, including me." And one said, "The peace I have found in this group has changed my life." Another comment was, "Being part of a parish is more than sitting in a pew during Mass. I'm proud that our church allows programs like this for all to enjoy. Thank you. So these are just a few of the comments from those who participated. Just as that last parishioner I mentioned thanked us all, I thank you for allowing us to offer these kinds of programs for our adults. And by the way, you can still join our Advent series called Rejoice. It meets on Tuesday evenings and Friday mornings starting next week because of the holidays. And as we celebrate that Christ is our King, again, let us remember, we reap what we sow, and it's later and greater. And here at our 10 o'clock Mass, we have a wonderful group of young people and adults on our journey of faith. They're learning about Christ and our Catholic faith, and they hope to join the church this coming Easter. So we pray for them every Sunday. And we're having impact outside of our community as well. Almost every day we get calls from people needing food. And so we prepare sacks of food for them, maybe 1 or 2 a day. And every year we give away about $100,000 in assistance to those in need, supporting these 5 groups: St. Vincent de Paul, Sister BJ's Pantry for the Homeless, Meals on Wheels, Willow Pregnancy Support, and the Oscar Romero House. And like for St. Vincent de Paul, last fiscal year, we helped about 350 different families, mostly with utilities. And this week, I received a note of thanks from Sister BJ's Pantry. It said, "Thank you, Epiphany, for your generous donations to the pantry. May God bless your kindness to this ministry and to the homeless. Your support will help provide services for our homeless. I appreciate your support and know you are in my daily prayers." In Sister Barbara Joseph. The card also had hands and feet. Perfect. And along with St. Charles, we help deliver groceries to about 350 households every month. That's such a great ministry. And with our Stephen ministry, we have trained ministers helping other adults who are going through various difficulties in life. In all of these outreach efforts, we serve many people who are not Catholic. We serve those in need, not because they're Catholic, but because we're Catholics. And that's what Catholics are called to do. And we celebrate again that Christ is our King. And let us remember, we reap what we sow, and it's later and greater. So in these stories and countless others, that's the why we do what we do as a parish. It's why all of us are called to invest in this church, because we believe in making a difference. Father Bala and I work with our great staff who have invested their time and their careers to help make a difference in the lives of those we serve. And all of you can help in the lives of those we serve by investing your time and money, by giving faithfully and sacrificially. Why? Because we believe that we're making a difference. And when you invest here, when you invest in Epiphany, you're investing in changing lives. And as we celebrate that Christ is our King, again, let us remember, we reap what we sow, and it's later and greater. And as you leave here today, we're going to give you an opportunity this week, the impact that we're having in our community and the children and students here at Epiphany. Then I invite you to take this opportunity to make a financial faith commitment based upon the impact that we're doing. Make a commitment for 2025. And the church, when it's actually being the church that Christ wants, the church is among only a handful of organizations, and in some instances, the only organization that does what it does, what we want to do. And what we do matters. It's critically important in the life of the world. So think about it. Helping families fall in love with their faith, providing Christ-centered direction and support for our youth, our adults, and our community. Your support and your service here at this parish makes all these things happen and more. But basically, what we're doing is sowing seeds. You're sowing seeds that are reaping a rich, wide harvest of changed lives now and for eternity. So I thank you once again for what you have done and what you will do in the future. So today, let us remember, we reap what we sow, always later and greater.